Afternoon, everyone. Myself, Mukesh Verma, going to present my poster multimedia on title TLS, GNSS, and TS Survey Planning for Precision Agricultural Applications. Precision agriculture is a multifaceted approach geared towards optimizing crop yield, curtailing resource consumption, and mitigating environmental repercussions through meticulously targeted interventions. LiDAR are promising tool for estimating plant height because it can penetrate canopy. In this context, the convergence of terrestrial laser scanner, GNSS, and total station technologies emerges as a promising avenue for high resolution geospatial data, and that is critical asset for the effective implementation of precision agricultural applications. The chosen study area was Maheva Gate within Naini, Prayagraj. The maize crops were cultivated in this area and two permanent GNSS stations were established in the close proximity to these crops. These GNSS stations will play a vital role in the converting the coordinates of TLS point cloud data. The maize crops were planted on June 26, 23 and data was gathered on 19th August 2023. The data collection took place during the tasseling stage of the maize crop. Three precision instruments were used for the data collection, named as Trimble RTN GNSS receiver, Faro Focus 3D laser scanner, and Trimble M3 total station. All three instruments belong to survey grade category and offer accuracy at a millimeter level. These instruments are well suited for crop mapping purposes. This is the survey plan we have opted for the data collection. The survey was meticulously designed to ensure minimal overlap among the scans, facilitating an efficient merging process. The targets within the experimental fields were strategically distributed to ensure comprehensive coverage. Five distinct scan stations were strategically selected, enabling the acquisition of comprehensive 3D point cloud encompassing the entire maize crop. This is the methodology I have adopted for the obtaining of georeference 3D point cloud. TLS data was collected at five specified scan stations and registered using Ferrocene software. GNSS data was collected at two specified points, STN and BS. Further data was processed using Gamut GlobeK processing software to obtain accurate GNSS points. Obtained GNSS points were given as origin to total station. Then with the help of TS point obtained from the test site, the registered point cloud was transformed to TS coordinate system. So georeference 3D point cloud was obtained. In the result and discussion part, we have obtained the georeference 3D point cloud. The georeference 3D point cloud was further segmented into ground and non-ground points. By utilizing both ground points and points within the crop ground, individual maize plant heights were estimated. The canopy height model also facilitated the identification of plant tops within the canopy. From the subset of non-ground points, we generated canopy height model using the watershed algorithm in MATLAB, which provides a raster representation of structures heights above the ground trophy. Ground topography. Using the CHM, we identified plants detecting the total of 149 within the study area by detecting top of all plants in the MATLAB. In contrast, manual plant counting yielded 157 plants. The future scope of this research can be extended to yield estimation and plant growth pattern study using multi-temporal data collection, as height is the primary parameter for the yield estimation. Future research can also focus on automation in survey planning, machine learning, assisted data analysis, and integration of other remote sensing technologies for the enhancement of precision agricultural applications. These are the references I have used for this presentation. Thank you.
You are using these very, very expensive instruments in order to
Yes, sir.
capture point cloud and RGB information of the crop.
Yes, sir.
Okay. What is the use of this data collected?
Yes, sir. This data can be used as a test bench. We can process this data to estimate the different morphological parameters of the crop, and uh, using this test bench, we can plan to expand the coverage of these instruments using other techniques like MLS and ALS, airborne laser scanner, to uh, to get a density of point cloud so that we can process data for the small crops.
Okay, one more question, last question. What is
Yes.
the use of georeferencing in this process? Why can't we just collect the data and don't georeference it?
Sir, my motto was to georeference the point cloud was to if the field is large, so we need to reach to a particular plant of the agricultural field. So in that way, it can help us to reach means to apply the precision agricultural thought, that is to apply the right treatment at the right place at the right time.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you so much, sir.
From Drone Remote Sensing and Big Data Analytics, Division of Agriculture Physics, ICAR, Indian Agriculture Research Institute, New Delhi. My topic is UAV-based retrieval of wheat canopy chlorophyll content using a hybrid machine learning approach. Let's start with an introduction. Chlorophyll is a natural compound that gives green color to plants. It is also considered a measure of plant health. As the input nitrogen fertilization increases, the chlorophyll content also increases. Not only the nitrogen fertilization, there are some nutrients also responsible for the chlorophyll content in plants. For example, a deficiency in iron and copper severely affects the greenness of plants. In wheat plants, a decrease in chlorophyll content is noticed due to phosphorus deficiency. Here comes the importance of chlorophyll estimation and mapping. The traditional methods like SPAD and other destructive measurements are always less efficient due to time and labor intensity. Nowadays, unmanned aerial vehicles or UAVs are used for mapping the chlorophyll content. In the figure, you can see the chlorophyll map generated from the drone imager. UAV's ability to fly at a low altitude results in ultra-high spatial resolution images for predicting crop variables more accurately. The general approach of UAV remote sensing starts with drone data acquisition, followed by data processing and modeling using machine learning and deep learning models to generate maps for crop monitoring and other end-user applications. The main objective of the present study is to estimate the wheat canopy chlorophyll content using UAV hyperspectral data with a very high spatial resolution of 4 cm through a hybrid GPR retrieval workflow. The term hybrid indicates the use of radiative transform modeling for generating the training database for GPR. The methodology adopted for the study. The wheat experimental plots in the IRI campus were selected for the present study. The experiment was conducted in the Rabi season of 2021. There were 45 plots under varying nitrogen treatments starting from 0 to 200 kg nitrogen per hectare. The hyperspectral data was collected using a head-wall nano hyperspectral sensor mounted on DJI Matrix 600 hexacopter. The hyperspectral imagery consists of 269 bands in the spectral range of 400 to 1000 nanometer with a spectral resolution of 2.2 nanometer. The flight altitude was maintained at 21 meter to get a spatial resolution of 4 centimeter. The hybrid GPR retrieval workflow consists of two major steps. One is the generation of a training database using radiative transform model. The process spectral simulations generated using the prospectual leaf model and fossil canopy model are used as the training data. The leaf and canopy variables and their ranges are shown in the table. Second is GPR or Gaussian process regression for predicting the chlorophyll content. Gaussian process regression or GPR is a non-parametric machine learning model having two major advantages of using kernel functions and the ability to provide uncertainty measurements on the predictions. Two major uncertainties such as standard deviation and coefficient of variation were generated along with the estimates. The GPR optimization involves the use of two-dimensionality reduction techniques in sampling and spectral domains. The training dataset was reduced using Euclidean distance-based diversity active learning technique. The input bands were selected from the hyperspectral data using the sequential backward band removal algorithm. The in situ measurements of LA and leaf chlorophyll content were measured from each plot, and their product gives canopy chlorophyll content was used to validate the results and discussion. After the UAV flight, pre-processing of the imagery was done. The raw scan lines from the UAV covering the wheat field consist of DN values were converted to radians, then to reflectance using the dark and wide reference price. The orthorectification and mosaicing of the hypercubes were completed. The pre-processed hyperspectral data may consist of spectral noises, which were removed using the Savinsky-Gorlin filter. The crop area were segmented and end members were extracted using a sequential maximum angle convex compound. About 2000 spectral simulations, as shown in the figure on the left side, were generated using the process for radiative transfer model. These spectral simulations were used as the training database. Here you all can see the results from the active learning method as well as from the spectral dimensionality technique. The EBD selects 62 most important representative samples from the data pool consisting of 2000 spectral simulations by selecting NRMSE as a selection criteria. The SBBR selects the 5 most informative and best performing bands with a cross-validated R-score of 0.78, RMSE and MA values of 0.62 and 0.14. These bands were interpreted against the global sensitivity analysis results of the PROSAID model. It indicates that most of the bands are coming in the 400 to 750 nanometer spectral range of dominant chlorophyll absorption. In this slide, you all can see the measured values and retrieved map of canopy chlorophyll content in wheat crops. Both the values show very less deviation, signifying the viability of the hybrid retrieval model used. The pixel-based uncertainty map of CV generated by GPR shows a very low relative uncertainty level of less than 7%. The in situ measurements correlated well with the results, with an NRMSE of 16.90%, MA of 0.48, and R-score of 0.64, showing good prediction accuracy. The conclusion: a hybrid retrieval workflow using radiative transfer modeling and Gaussian process regression has been proposed for the operational delivery of canopy chlorophyll content of wheat crops using UAV hyperspectral data as a fast and robust method to support precision agriculture. Most informative and best performing bands have been identified as input to GPR. The hybrid GPR retrieval model could produce results with high accuracy as evident from the validation against in situ measurements. Further, it may be scaled up for the farmer's field to adopt effective site-specific input nutrient management practices. Also, the present work will be continued in the future by considering the multiple growth stages of wheat crops to develop an SOP for the near real-time delivery of crop variables. Thank you.
Good day to all. The topic of this study is temporal analysis of mangrove species distribution in mangroves of Pichavaram and Vittarkanika. Mangroves are very productive ecosystem which are prevalent in the intertidal regions of tropical and subtropical coastlines. But evaluating these mangrove forests is very complex, and remote sensing plays a crucial role in evaluating these complex ecosystems. This study focuses on the understanding of individual mangrove species dynamics for an informed conservation and management, where species-specific NDVI analysis gives unique responses of individual mangrove species, which can reveal species health, growth, and seasonal dynamics. The objectives of the studies are to assess the temporal dynamics of the mangrove ecosystem in the Pichavaram and Vittarkanika, and also to investigate the transition of species within the study area by employing multispectral image classification. And the study also focuses on the species-specific NDVI temporal variation over 5 years, from 2019 to 2023. This study deals with the mangroves of two major mangrove locations in eastern coast of India, which are Pichawara mangroves of Tamil Nadu and Bitterkanika of Odisha. The data which we have used for this study is Sentinel-2 Level 2A data, which is atmospherically collected surface reflectance data acquired for a period of 2019 to 2023. And the ground truth data is obtained from in situ observations from our earlier surveys and studies on mangrove species classification and also from other literatures. Moving on to the methodology, this flowchart shows the detailed methodology of the study. Here, SVM classifier with linear kernel is used to classify the Sentinel-2 data to obtain the species distribution maps for 2 years, 2019 and 2023. Using this mangrove species map, the change detection of species were analyzed. And for years from 2019 to 2023, mean NDVI images were created for summer season, which is from March to May, and NDVI is computed using red and NIR bands of Sentinel-2A imagery. The random sample locations representing distinct mangrove species classes were selected based on the ground truth data available, and 25 such samples for each mangrove species were selected using stratified sampling method. Using these random sample locations, species-specific NDVI analysis were carried out. Moving on to the results and discussions. This image shows the species distribution map of Pichavaram for year 2019 and 2023, and the table shows the land cover transfer matrix showing the area change between classes. Here, the classification results of Pichavaram forest reveals an increase in the growth extent of both Avicenna marina and Rhizophora species. Although the Rhizophora had less occurrence initially in 2019, there is a substantial increase in its extent, particularly along the fringes of creeks and water bodies, suggesting that there is a potential growth of the species over the 5-year period. And here, Avicenna marina in dense patches has substantially reduced to moderately dense by approximately 30%. We can also see a significant transition of non-mangrove regions to mangroves. Moving on to the species distribution changes in Bitterkanika. In Bitterkanika, there is an increase in extent of major mangroves, especially Avicenna marina, which shows a substantial expansion. Exoracia agalacia species also shows an increase in extent distributed along the creek. Dense heritieriform mangroves, primarily occurring along the sides of creeks and rivers, shows a decline in the temporal classified maps attributed to the mixing of other mangroves like Exoracia agalacia and other non-dominant mangroves. These are the temporal NDVI maps of Pichavaram and Bitterkanika. And here, in Pichavaram, we can see an overall increase in trend in major mangrove regions from 2019 to 2021. However, there's a rapid decline in NDVI value, which is observed by 2022, which indicate a potential decline in the vegetation health. And you can see a similar trend in Bitterkanika region also. In order to analyze the variation in NDVI on species level, the volume chart is plotted using the temporal NDVI values of collected random sample points. Here, we can see towards the year 2020, a gradual increase in NDVI value. However, there is a rapid decline of NDVI by 2022, which makes the overall trend declining. It suggests that there is a stress or degradation of vegetation, which may be influenced by the changes in climatic condition. While analyzing the median NDVI values across different species from 2019 to 2023, an initial similarity was observed. However, in subsequent years, specifically in 2020 and 2023, the divergence in the median NDVI value increases significantly. Notably, in 2022, the result shows less divergence. This varying degrees of divergence among different species could highlight the species-specific responses to the changing climatic condition, which means some species might be more resilient to these changes, while other might be more sensitive. As a conclusion for the study unveiled the significant changes in mangrove species distribution in the two study areas of Pichavaram and Vittarkanika, and the analysis of species distribution and NDVI trend revealed a concerning decline in the vegetation health. The findings underscore potential stress or degradation which can be influenced by climate change, and this highlights the need of conservation measures to ensure long-term sustainability of these critical ecosystems. The study could extended by analyzing decadal data to understand if any cyclic pattern prevails among the species other than the climate influences. These are the references which I have used for the study. Thank you for your attention.
Hello everyone, I am Apurva Shant Kumar. I would like to thank InGARSS for providing me this amazing opportunity to present my research work on the topic Temporal Sentinel-1 SAR data for precise crop identification and monitoring, carried out along with my co-authors. Crop mapping is vital for strategic agricultural planning, enabling precise resource allocation and global food security. Timely monitoring of crop growth supports better farming practices, ensuring sustainable food production. Remote sensing, coupled with tools like Google Earth Engine, facilitates instant processing and analysis of vast satellite image stacks. Identifying crops in Indian agricultural lands via remote sensing faces challenges from diverse patterns and cloud cover. However, increasing Earth observation satellites offer improved methodologies for better agricultural monitoring. The study area taken in this study is Koppal district, which is home to two main food crops, bajra and maize, apart from paddy, tur, black gram, green gram, and groundnut. The study area map is of October 2020 in standard FCC. This study aims to differentiate between closely similar crops, bajra and maize, within Koppal. Studying the phenological and structural likeness of co-cultivated crops fills a vital gap in crop identification, emphasizing the need for precise monitoring in the region. Data used. The data used for this study involves both satellite and ground truth data sources. For the 2020 Kharif season, that is rainy season from June to October, Sentinel-1 and Sentinel-2 satellite data were used. Sentinel-1 provided VH and VV polarization images obtained via Google Earth Engine after applying a gamma map speckle filter. This involved requiring a 15-day mosaics, resulting in a total of 2 images per month within a 15-day interval. Specific acquisition dates for Sentinel-1 can be seen in the table. In addition, Sentinel-2 data consisted of a median composite from October 2020, post application of a cloud filter. Ground truth information was gathered through field survey conducted in August 2020. A total of 597 polygons of bajra, maize, cotton, tur, and paddy with varying counts for each crop was collected. Methodology. This flowchart represents the overall methodology. A combination of Sentinel-1 and Sentinel-2 data was obtained through Google Earth Engine. Sentinel-1 data underwent a gamma speckle filter, generating 15-day mosaics consisting of 2 images each, VH and VV, per month. The backscattering coefficients of VV and VH were extracted and analyzed over time for various crops. 5 categories of data were considered for this analysis, which is explained later. To classify the crops, a random forest classifier was applied, utilizing the extracted information. Results. This box plot represents the temporal VH profiles for bajra and maize in blue and orange respectively. For bajra, higher backscatter minus 22 dB can be in late May suggests it's the plowing before sowing, making the soil rougher and more reflective to radar. Initially, high plant density and low height result in high backscatter, decreasing as plants grow taller. During reproductive stages, seed heads increase backscatter more than leaves and stems. At maturity, reduced moisture makes plants less reflective, lowering the backscatter. Coming to maize, the backscatter profile of maize changes significantly across its growth stages. Early stages show low backscatter due to low biomass. As biomass increases, backscatter rises. During tasseling and silking, backscatter decreases due to changes in leaf water content and the presence of tassels and silks. In maturity, reduced vegetation cover lead to decreased backscatter. This chart represents the temporal VH profiles for bajra, maize, along with cotton, tur, and 3 stages of paddy, that is June, July, and August, as line chart. In irrigated regions where paddy is cultivated, initial growth stages exhibit low backscatter due to water presence, yielding low surface roughness. As paddy grows, backscatter rises with increased vegetation cover and surface roughness. Maximum tillering stages peak with maximum height, leading to a higher backscatter. The final crop classification map obtained from the use of both Sentinel-1 and Sentinel-2 combination is shown. This category 5 performed the best by achieving the highest overall accuracy of 73.3%. The highest accuracy obtained by using only Sentinel-1 SAR data was 69.2% using VH polarization images. Conclusion: this study addresses the intricate challenge of distinguishing between phenologically and structurally similar crops, specifically bajra and maize, when cultivated together. This unique focus aims to bridge a gap in existing literature that primarily concentrates on individual crop studies, neglecting the complexities of analyzing them in tandem. By leveraging Sentinel-1 SAR data through Google Earth Engine, we tackle the complexity of diverse cropping patterns and cloud cover prevalent in Indian agricultural lands. The fusion of temporal Sentinel-1 and Sentinel-2 data analyzed using random forest classifier emerged as a robust approach, achieving a notable 73.3% accuracy for crop classification in the Koppal district of Karnataka. However, acknowledging the potential for further improvement, we plan to explore the fusion of optical and SAR data to enhance accuracy and effectiveness in identifying competing crops like bajra and maize, thereby advancing our methodology for crop classification in similar scenarios. Thank you.
This is Lijan Wali. I'm a postdoc fellow at Simon Fraser University. So we have sharpened cosine similarity units for deforestation mapping. Here we have the list of quarters. So here we can have some background and literature review on deforestation mapping. Forests cover around 30% of surface of the Earth, having a significant global impact on the climate and atmosphere. A significant change, such as forest loss in the world of forests, has been brought on by factors including increased population, increased urbanization, and environmental pollution due to economic activities. So forest loss mapping and monitoring is vital. We have CNNs, which are among the most employed segmentation algorithms for deforestation mapping. The issue here is that they are prone to increased model variance oversensitivity, and a lack of generalizability. So in this paper, we try to use cosine similarity instead of extensively use CNN. So here we propose the new concept of SCS, sharp cosine similarity embedded in unit architecture using Sentinel-2 satellite imagery over South America in two forests of Amazon and Atlantic. We can summarize the benefits of using SCS units into major parts. So we can create a lower complexity architecture that possesses more semantic segmentation knowledge with a lesser proportion of reference data by skipping connection that attach a low-level feature to its corresponding high-level feature. So the good idea or the good point here is we can use less ground truth data. These relationships enhance knowledge propagation without diminishing it. And second, convolution, normalization, and nonlinear exponential activation constitute the SCS. They can therefore function seamlessly despite the absence of additional normalization or nonlinear activation like ReLU. When we are using convolutional layer, so we need to define normalization and nonlinear activation function like ReLU with the convolutional layers. So SCS does not need those additional layers. So the idea here is that the cosine similarity is bounded between -1 and 1, -1 and +1. These can overcome or address the issue of CNN's increased variance due to the unbounded dot product operation. So you can see the relationship between G and K. G is the signal and K is a kernel. So a CNN or convolutional layer or function can be mathematically defined as dot product of a signal G and a kernel K. And here we used sharpened cosine similarity. The difference is that we can change the standard cosine similarity to a power p while maintaining the sign of original cosine value. And q shows a small positive scalar. So here we have our segmentation results for Amazon forest and Atlantic forest presented in table 1 and 2. There are some major points here. One is that the computational complexity of the proposed model is much less than the rest, including unit 3 plus, rest units, R2 units, swing units, attention unit, trans unit 2 plus. And second, in terms of statistical indices, the model presents comparable results. Here we have deforestation segmentation maps over Amazon forest data benchmark. Result illustrated comparable results of the proposed model compared to the rest of evaluation segmentation algorithms. Here we have deforestation segmentation maps of the proposed model of SCS unit and other segmentation algorithm over Atlantic forest. Results demonstrated comparable results and produced map by the proposed model over the rest of segmentation algorithms. As discussed, the segmentation results showed that the proposed SCS unit segmentation model exhibited the least computational complexity in terms of training time over the other segmentation models, while resulting in comparable statistical results, such as the well-known segmentation model of units. Thank you very much for your attention.
So I am here in half of Ali. If there is any question, I am happy to answer.
I was just thinking like whether you have checked the standard deviations of your proposed model, like you have different other state of the art models, right? So whether the standard deviations of your model is falling within the other model's accuracy part or not, because you have not shown the standard deviation. So I was just thinking whether, I mean, how is this going on in your case?
Yes. Actually, since the number of samples is very less in this case, so actually they have given a fixed division of training and test set. So whatever the run you will take during training of your model, the accuracy will be the same. So we didn't find any significant standard deviations, right?
And this is, I see that not in terms of the accuracy, rather in terms of the time, you're showing the advantage of the SCS. Am I correct?
Yes.
Yeah.
So actually, let me explain one thing. So in CNN, convolution operation is at expensive operations, right? But if we reduce it to the sharpened cosine similarity operations, so then the complexity will be reduced and the training time is going down, right?
Yeah. There are some other architectures which are specifically for saving time, not the accuracy. Okay, there will be compromise in terms of the accuracy. For example, RendlerNet. So you have looked into a couple of architectures and you have presented your results. Did you specifically look for those architectures which are recognized for saving time?
No, actually, we just initially targeted it for the segmentation models. So like UNet, segmentation architectures. And we replace all the CNN layers with the sharpened cosine similarity. And we want to see what is the observations actually. So we didn't actually look into that architecture which you are mentioned just now, right?
Okay, just one question from audience.
Yeah.
No question now. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you. Okay.
Good afternoon, all present here. I, Arpita, student of Amity Institute of Geoinformatics and Remote Sensing, pursuing my master's in GIS and remote sensing from Amity University. I am here to present the poster for my paper. I am the co-author for this paper. The title of my paper is Rapid Mapping of Potential Soil Erosion Using Earth Observation Images through Google Earth Engine Cloud Platform. The paper majorly deals with the integration of remote sensing and GIS in the soil erosion modeling through revised universal soil loss equation, also known as the Rusley model, using the Google Earth Engine platform. Remote sensing and GIS play a crucial role in soil studies as well as the soil management. Soil erosion has always been a major environmental concern that is implicated for the land management and for agricultural sustainability. Google Earth Engine, coupled with the Earth observation data, hosts a multitude of satellite imagery along with which provides ability of a bulk data storage and also helps in the accurate, timely mapping of the potential soil erosion areas. The main objective of the study is to study the potential soil risk assessment of Narmada Basin through Risley model using Google Earth Engine. The study area taken is the Narmada Basin, which extends approximately 93,000 square kilometer, spanning across multiple states, including the Madhya Pradesh, Gujarat, and Maharashtra. The soil types found in the Narmada Basin include the alluvial deposit, red-black soils, laterite soil, and clay soils, which play a very crucial role in the agriculture sector, industries, hydroelectric projects, etc. This basin faces many environmental challenges such as soil erosion, sedimentation, and water scarcity. So there is an immense need to study the soil erosion risk for effective planning in this basin. The various data sets that were being used for this study are two-way satellite imagery having 10-meter resolution, high resolution SRTM depth with 30-meter resolution, CHOPS dataset with 0.05-degree resolution, water slat cover dataset with 500-meter resolution, open-land map soil texture class 4 with 250-meter resolution. The methodology adopted for this study is as follows. Here we can see that SRTM DEM, which was being used as dataset, through which we have generated the flow accumulation, and the slope map through which we have generated the LS factor, which is the slope length, and the slope steepness factor. Modest land cover data was being used to generate the P factor, which is the conservation practice factor. Sentinel 2A satellite imagery was being used to generate the NDVI of the basin to study the C factor, which is the land management factor. USDA's soil texture class 4 dataset was being used to derive the K factor, which is the soil erodibility factor. CHOPS annual dataset for the year 2021 to 2022 was being used to derive the R factor, which is the rainfall erosibility factor. Risley model is worldwide used in many areas to study potential soil risk. So the expression for calculating the Risley model is A is equals to integration of R, K, LSC, and P factor, through which we have overlaid all the factors, through which we have generated the potential soil erosion risk estimation map. Now let's come to the results and discussion part. Here is the first R factor map. The rainfall was high at the Satpura ranges, which is denoted by the dark blue color. Increase in R factor means increase in soil erosivity factor. Now the K factor map. In K factor, we can see the dominance of the clay and clay loamy soil, which is denoted in the yellow color, which is highly prone to erosion. In the LS factor map, we can see the higher the slope, higher the LS factor, which is in the southwest and the central region of the basin. We can, in the C factor map, we can see that the western and the eastern part has a very high maintenance, which there is a need of planning in these areas. In the P factor map, areas with a high P value have very low erosion. The western part of the basin is highly prone to erosion. Now we come to the last map, which is the integration of all the 5 factors of R, K, LS, C, and P factor, in which we have derived the potential soil erosion map of Narmada Basin. This map is categorized into 5 parts: slight, moderate, high, very high, severe. The mean soil loss computed is 28.92, with major areas displaying high to severe erosion rates in central and western part of the Narmada Basin. According to our findings, the Narmada Basin is particularly vulnerable to soil erosion, with around 46% of area falling into moderate to very high soil erosion risk categories. To conclude my paper, we can see that our study is divided into five major subcategories: slight, moderate, high, very high, and severe. The Narmada Basin is susceptible to soil erosion with around 46% of land falling into the category of the moderate to very high soil erosion risk. There is concentration of high risk areas in the upper catchment regions, which is characterized by the steep slopes and sparse cover of vegetation. The study reveals important insight into the spatial distribution of soil erosion risk in the Narmada Basin and shows the necessity of implementing educate soil conservation measures in high-risk locations, which will ensure long-term viability of the region's soil and water resources. Thank you.
In the Department of Astronomy, Astrophysics and Space Engineering. This is my presentation on monitoring tree loss in urban areas with synthetic aperture radar data. My study area lies in the Indore district and covers Tehsils Indore and Mau. In the map here, we can see the upcoming Indore-Khandwa 4-lane highway. Hundreds of trees have been logged off alongside this road in order to widen it in the past 1 year. The dominant species of the trees that have been logged off include neem and eucalyptus. We have conducted extensive field visits from December 2022 to April 2023 when the felling was taking place, and we have recorded data for over 250 trees here. The satellite data that I have used is from Sentinel-1A, and the repeat pass in over this area is 12 or 24 days. I have used both the polarization channels, and the temporal range for the study is June 2022 to July 2023. I have also used PlanetScope optical data at spatial resolution 3 meters for visual interpretation, as well as to ensure that there are no faulty points in the dataset. As ground truth, I have used a number of sample points with their species as well as the DBS that was recorded in the field survey. This slide discusses the workflow. So I have used, for pre-processing of SAR data, I have used ICE, that is INSAR Scientific Computing Environment by JPL NASA. So I've carried out basic pre-processing steps for SAR data, including radiometric calibration, range Doppler terrain correction, spectral filtering, etc. Now, since I was dealing with temporal SAR data, I carried out co-registration, and then I resampled all the data sets to 10-meter resolution and generated a temporal stack out of it. The processing of ground truth, I use the DBH values to estimate the growing stock volume, that is GSV, for neem and eucalyptus using their respective allometric volume equations. So the GSV range that I got, I divided it into 4 sub-ranges. I call them quantiles throughout the presentation. So I got 4 quantiles, Q1, Q2, Q3, and Q4. This was done to understand whether the amount of volume logged off has a relationship with the backscatter response or not. Secondly, I created buffers around each tree location at 4 different sizes. So 10 meter, 20 meter, 30 meter, as well as 50 meter. This was done to understand what can be the minimum mappable unit in this kind of study. This slide discusses the it shows the zoom in windows. So each point here shows individual tree, and in the different shades we can see the 4 different quantiles, and the different frames show the 4 resolution sizes, the 4 frame sizes, 10, 20, 30, and 50 meters. Here we can see that in the middle window, the trees are less densely populated. They are sparsely populated. So within each 50-meter frame, there is 1 or 2 tree. But in case of the windows on the right, the trees are more densely populated. So within one cell, there are multiple trees. That will affect the backscatter response as well, which we will see subsequently in the slides, in the plots as well. So that needs to be taken care of by adjusting the thresholds for different GSV ranges. Coming to the results, this is for Q1 at 10-meter buffer size. So here in the gray, here we can see this is the temporal range where there was no satellite data acquisition between 10th August 2022 and 26th November 2022. So this gray bar will be there in all of the plots and it shows the no data range. Apart from that, we have this dotted line which shows the date of felling. Here in case of both cross pole and copole, we can see there is a significant drop in backscatter after the date of felling. So, and this is the analysis at 10 meters. As we keep on increasing the resolution cell size or the buffer size, the drop in the backscatter will keep on reducing. So we go from 10 to 20, the size reduces, the gap reduces, 20 to 30, it reduces even further. When we go from 30 to 50, there is a slight increase in the copole backscatter. Here in this slide, it gets a little bit more clearer. We have 4 GIFs showing the backscatter responses at 4 different resolution scales, 10, 20, 30, and 50 meters for 4 different GSV ranges, Q1, Q2, Q3, and Q4 with increasing GSV levels. So Q1 has lowest GSV and Q4 has highest GSV. So here we can see that something that is common throughout the 4 windows is that the curve tends to get smoother as the resolution size increases. That is because the noise gets reduced as well as the drop in the backscatter because of felling also gets reduced. Apart from that, we can see that the drop in the backscatter for Q1 is less as compared to the drop in the backscatter for Q4. That is because there is a direct relationship between the amount of growing stock volume logged off and the backscatter. So in case of using this for change detection, for any change detection algorithm or any model, we need to optimize or condition the thresholds accordingly so as to get so as to detect the felling in all the ranges equally. Apart from that, there we can see here the drop in the backscatter here, as well as the drop in the backscatter between 4th and 5th acquisition is kind of similar. But this acquisition lies in the temporal domain of monsoon. So that drop is on account of precipitation and not falling, not felling. To conclude, these are the takeaway points. We can carry out analysis at higher spatial resolution to lessen false alarms. But for larger resolution cells, there will be a less backscatter drop, which will make it possible for the algorithm to miss it. So there's a trade-off between accuracy and spatial resolution, and also the drops can be on account of precipitation and not the logging. So this can lead to false alarms. So it needs to be taken care of. So this is the end of my presentation. I'm looking forward to all the questions, comments, everything is most welcome. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Good afternoon to everyone. My name is Bontu Sandeep Reddy. I am from IIIT Surathkal, India. Today I am here to explain my work on crop classification based on optimal hyperspectral narrowbands using machine learning and Hyperion data. So coming to my research, in view of global climate change and limited availability of cropland, crop classification plays a critical role in maintaining food security. As well as this, the hyperspectral data advancement helped improve the cross classification by offering the integrated spectral signature across narrow and continuous bands, outperforming the multispectral wider bands. As well as these positives, it has the negatives like the correlation and the redundancy of the data are the majorly observed in the hyperspectral data. So to address this limitation, researchers propose the use of appropriate spectral bands for precise crop classification. So now coming to the problem statement and objectives. Whenever you opting for a crop classification, what we will do is we'll generally take 1 or 2 images as a study areas, and we'll try to figure out the optimal hyperspectral bands for these 2 study areas itself, and we'll use it for the crop classification purpose. As we are following the machine learning algorithms, which are majorly empirical in nature, the optimal hyperspectral bands figured out in these two images are not suitable for the classification in the remaining study areas. So to overcome this limitation and as well as to provide the standardized metrics for metrics like optimal hyperspectral bands at the national level, we are going to analyze the data over diverse agriculture zones and varying crop phases to give the optimum hyperspectral bands which are suitable for the classification of any crop using the hyperion data. So in this research, we are going to analyze the major crops like corn, cotton, soybean, winter wheat, and as well as the rice. And we are going to use the principal component analysis for figuring out the optimal hyperspectral narrow bands, and as well as we are using the machine learning algorithms like GPR, random forest, and support vector regression for the crop classification approach. Coming to the study area, we have selected the USA as a study area because due to the availability of the rich data from the USGS cropland area data, and we have selected the 7 study areas throughout the US from different 7 agroecological zones. Coming to the data sets, we are selected using the hyper and hyperspectral data sets and Gaussian hyperspectral library for the analysis of the data to figure out the optimal hyperspectral bands, and it has a 6,998 spectral samples which are collected over 5 crops in the 6 different phases. And as well as we are using the USGS cropland data layer for using the calibration and validation of the machine learning algorithms. Now coming to the methodology, initially we will go through the Krishna's hyperspectral library, which has having approximately 7,000 samples. In this 7,000 sample is a mix of these 5 crops and 6 phenological phases. First, we will segregate the data into the each crop, then each crop into the each phenological phase, and we'll run the principal component for the each of these segregation parts. And from the after this running this principal component analysis, we'll figure out the optimal hyperspectral bands. The methodology for figuring out the optimal hyperspectral bands, I will explain in the next slide. So after figuring out this optimal hyperspectral bands, we in conjunction with the hyperion data, we are going for the crop classification using random forest and the GPR. So after doing the classification, so the data which is available at the validation level, we are going to use it for the validation of the developing crop map. Next, coming to the methodology for selecting the optimal hyperspectral bands. As everyone knows, PCA outputs the principal component gives the cumulative variance and the variance of each and every principal component, as well as the weightage of each spectral band contribution to the each PCA. So in this case, we are going to use this formula for calculating the weightage of each and every band in providing the variance to the each and every band. By using this formula, we will calculate the weightages and we'll sort these weightages in descending order, and we'll select these top 20 bands for our classification purpose. In this case, we are going to limit our variance at the 96%. So the bands, the cumulative bands up to which we are getting 96%, we are going to use it for the analysis purpose. Next, coming to the results portion. Also, after performing the PCA, these are the results for the things which I am showing is that for the principal component analysis for the PC1 and PC2 for the different 6 crop phases for the corn crop, and this is for the winter wheat crop. Due to the non-availability of the data, we are showing here the 4 phases itself only, and these are the PC analysis for the rice crop at the early emerging vegetative stage and late vegetative stage. If you observe in each everything, the red line indicates the principal component 1, where it is showing the majorly contribution of each and every band to the principal component. In all the 6 phases in the crop and as well as the 4 phases in the winter wheat and 2 phases in the wheat, it is showing the approximately major and equal contribution. The major contributors of the bands changes within between the principal component 2 and the principal component 3. So here the weightage of the PC2 and PC3 plays a major role in the thing. So coming to our principal component analysis, in majority of the conditions, we can observe the principal component 1 analysis like the variance ranges in between the 50 to approximately 70%. So when you're considering the PC2 and PC3 has plays a major role because these 3 things are contributing approximately 50 to 60%, in some cases 40% of the data for the principal component analysis. So after considering going through this principal component analysis and by using the weightages criteria I explained before, we have figured out the optimal hyperspectral bands. We have figured out 457, 468, and as well as the remaining bands as shown in the figure, as shown in the table. And we have used this optimal hyperspectral bands for the crop classification approach. Further, And coming to the results portion, in the results portion, you are going to show how the things, how the each and every algorithm and how the bands performed in classifying the different crops. In this case, we are going to use the user's accuracy and producer accuracy for different algorithms to show how the abnormal spectral bands performed. In each and every case, those bands performed very well. In majority of the cases, like corn, it has performed very good accurately if the user accuracy of 90 percentage, as well as the in intermediate, it has performed very low compared to the remaining crops. If you observe along this table, you will get to know about all of this. Coming to the results, these are the samples of the results which we are showing for the, this is the, for the study area using the support vector regression, and here you can see the classified crops. This is for the random forest which will classify the corn crop, and this is for the GPR, and each and every phase the optimal hyperspectral bands are able to identify the crops. Coming to the study area 2 also, here it is a different part of the agricultural zone, and here also have classified the soybean and the corn crops. So coming to this conclusion work, the optimal spectrum exhibited remarkable level of accuracy ranging from 75 to 91% in effectively distinguishing between different types of crops. So this level of accomplishment of improvement accuracy is possible. So by using these 24 optimal level spectral bands, we can do the crop classification or throughout the national level of the United States of America for particularly hyperspectral data set only. So by this kind of analysis can be implemented in future in India for any kind of hyperspectral sensor, can be help to identify the different crops by decreasing the workload on the scientist. Furthermore, the variation in growth phase of the crops across the 7 study regions are contributed to the observed high levels of accuracy. So the study implies that opting that hyperspectral bands, especially with respect to the phenological stages, has the capability to identify the crops at each and every stage. And these are the references I have used for my work. And thank you. And all the questions are welcome.
Hello everyone. Today I'm going to present on my topic, that is agricultural drought forecasting using NDVI, VCI and artificial neural net. So these will be the contents of presentation today. So let me introduce. Drought is a weather condition where the severe water shortage takes place, and it affects into financial losses and other unfavorable effects are caused to the society. So in order to avoid these effects, we need to detect the drought in its early stage. So drought indices, they are playing a very important role, which is a formula which calculates the intensity or severity of the drought in a particular region at a particular time. So these drought indices, they are climate based as well as they are the combination of different parameters. So only climate based indicators, they have the limitation that for agricultural drought monitoring, they cannot accurately give the vegetation conditions. They keep on varying. So this is not giving the correct result, and drought monitoring is not taking place in a right way. So the crop failure takes place, and in order to track the crop failure, that is in the agricultural drought condition, what we need to do, we need to track the data using remote sensing images. So GIS and remote sensing, they are playing a very important role in agricultural drought identification, evaluation, as well as its management. So the indices which we are generating from remote sensing, they can gauge or they can calculate the health and greenness of the plant in very accurate way. So this paper, it examines the climatic and agricultural parameters along with satellite images, and by using the artificial neural network, it forecasts the agricultural drought in Maharashtra, India. So the main objective is the same thing, using GIS and remote sensing to forecast agricultural drought and to study ANN for drought prediction. These are the data sets which I have used: rainfall, minimum, maximum and average temperature, potential and reference crop evapotranspiration, Java yield and satellite images for calculation of NDVI and VCI. All of these data sets I have sourced from the publicly and freely available government sources, that is Commissioner of Agriculture Pune and IMD Pune. For satellite images, I have referred Bhuvan website. This is my study area. I have considered the Maharashtra state in India. In that, 25 regions, those are colored, which I have selected for the study. Konkan region I have eliminated from this study because there is enough there is enough rainfall in the Konkan region, and the drought occurrence events they are rarely to occur in that region. So methodology is first is data collection, collecting and collating the data. Next is data pre-processing, that is making the data ready for analysis. Then data visualization and ANN for forecasting. We'll see this in detail. These are the formula which I have used for calculating NDVI and VCI. VCI is using the NDVI data only, and NDVI it is using band 3 and band 2 from the satellite images which we are downloading, where band 3 is NIR and band 2 is visible red band. For calculating VCI values, the drought severity is calculated with the help of the values which are distributed from 10 to more than 40. Less than 10 indicates severe drought, and more than 40 indicates low drought. So here this is the data for getting the NDVI values. I have used QGIS. In that, I have first selected the images. Then the second step is calculating the NDVI with the help of raster calculator, which is having the NDVI formula. And at the end of this these steps, what we are getting is this image, which is nothing but the image. Whenever we will select on a particular point in this image, it will show us the NDVI value. So in order to know, or in order to read the values correctly, to analyze this image correctly, I have classified that black and white NDVI image into color image, where green color shows healthy or dense vegetation and red color shows very low or no vegetation at a particular region. So let's discuss about the result, data visualization results. So this is the in the previous already published paper, I have obtained the dry as well as wet districts among these 25 selected districts for study area. And from those two districts, here I have displayed the information about Kolhapur district, October 2008, 2009, 2011, and 2012. For these 4 years, I have obtained the images as they were easily available, and I have calculated the NDVI images and have converted into the classified NDVI image. So Kolhapur is a wet state where rainfall is very good. The rainfall is very less or low in Ahmednagar district, where here from this image only we can interpret that the red color is dominating in these images, which shows less or no vegetation in this district. This is the correlation we have found out between Kolhapur of the Kolhapur region between NDVI and other parameters. It is seen that NDVI and VCI with rainfall is having a good correlation, whereas for temperature it is having very low correlation, and for NDVI and VCI with crop yield it is giving the very high correlation. For Gadchiroli, the same thing has happened, only temperature is giving the very low or no correlation for Ahmednagar and for Solapur. So everywhere it is seen that wherever the temperature it is considered, it is giving the negative or very low correlation. So this is the ANN results. I have created 7 models for ANN. So here for NDVI, 7 models are created along with the combination of different parameters. And out of these 7 models, these are the results which I have obtained. So after having the different combinations of the models, here after applying ANN, here 8 indicates the input node, 12 indicates hidden node, and 1 indicates the output node. So these are the accuracies for the 7 models. For VCI also I have created 5 models of different combination, and these models are developed to calculate the intensity of the drought. These are the results of training and validation data set. Same 5 models are created, and these are the accuracy for training and the validation. So from this we conclude that in order to acquire the better results, it is very important to combine the NDVI with other climatic and agricultural parameters as well as indices. So data errors, they can occur during rainy season because of vegetation conditions. Also, prediction models using NDVI and VCI, they can be incorporated into a decision support system and early warning system, which can help the farmers. These are the references used. Thank you.